Do you think life was better before or after ChatGPT?
Better.
No, no. Better before or after?
After.
After it came.
Yeah, definitely.
Why?
Made things much more easier, bro. Much more easier.
Yeah, but like it brought in a new set of really interesting challenges and problems, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think what I'm trying to ask is the trade-off worth it?
100%. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. So see, if you're looking at it like this, ChatGPT came, we have a bunch of new problems. That's obvious. Anything that's new, it solves a bunch of problems. Some other problems go
100%, yeah.
for sure, no. But if ChatGPT itself was a great thing that came about, definitely.
Don't you think like life was a little simpler before it came?
It depends on what you're using ChatGPT for.
Okay, I'm thinking more broadly speaking, because after this whole inception of ChatGPT, it started spiraling into like people realizing, oh, there is this huge $1 trillion, maybe more, space out there for AI generative LLM models to grow and expand and completely disrupt industries everywhere. Now, that is a huge shift, and I'm trying to think, like, even with myself, I'm like trying to understand, do I think that life was just much easier, much simpler back then? It was obviously more difficult to do certain things, but now that it's easier to do these things, it's like when you have the capacity to do a lot of work in a shorter period of time, thanks to all these LLMs coming into play, it doesn't actually reduce your amount of work. The amount of work you do in the same amount of time just increased. If that makes
True.
sense.
Okay. Yeah.
The thing that you're able to get done in the same amount of time just changed. You're
Yeah.
able to like really stretch out more work into a tinier period of time.
Would you rather have that, or would you just spend more amount of time on a particular work? Basically, sludge, no?
That's true.
I think it's good you're finishing the work and you're completing more things. Because as you complete more things,
More things get done, you're innovating
Yeah.
more, you're building more.
exactly, that's a good thing. Now, yeah, because ChatGPT came, there's been a ripple effect. Industries are going to get disrupted. And it is true, before ChatGPT, life was a bit more simpler. But this is how I'm looking at it, okay? After every innovation, there's going to be a lot of burning down, as we said, no? But that doesn't mean the innovation shouldn't come about. If you're like, the internet shouldn't be a thing, or the industrial revolution shouldn't be a thing, let's just like live simple agricultural handmade stuff. Let's just use that. Let's not build industrial factories. Let's not do the internet. Let's not invent electricity, because that will actually like remove a lot of jobs. Like for example, when cars came about, people would be like, I love riding horses, and all the horse stables,
Yeah.
all the people who like collect horse shit on the road, all those people lose their jobs here, and many people would be like, our love for horses will reduce or something like that. It's all true. People are going to lose their jobs. Cities will be like refactored to like include cars thing. So many things are going to happen, but that doesn't mean cars shouldn't like come about. So the cars have definitely made us more productive,
Better, more
travel.
faster.
Yeah. So earlier people, this is like the same analogy. People used to take horses or animals and travel, but at the same number of time they're able to travel more distance. It's the same thing we're doing with ChatGPT. Earlier we used to like spend more amount of time on a particular work, but now we are like the same time. Yeah, it's the same thing with cars, is what I feel. So
That's actually a really good analogy, actually.
definitely, like ChatGPT has made our work or life much better. So many things are going to change, but that's like the thing. But that doesn't mean ChatGPT.
It's perfect.
No, that
Definitely
doesn't.
got its flaws.
Yeah, no, that doesn't mean it was wrong for ChatGPT to come about.
Oh yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah, like I feel like our lives are going to get much better. See, ChatGPT might not like solve issues by itself, but the revolution or the AI revolution that's coming about would
That's
probably
what, yeah.
solve quite a lot of diseases, quite a lot of like world problems itself. Now, that's a good thing.
You know that utopian world that we keep like building towards. Do you think it exists in our lifetime?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, I think.
Do you think that we, let's say 20, 30 years into the future, can we expect like an insane radical change? Because there's a few ways to look at this. One is, can we really, I mean, there's so many things that could go wrong. AI alignment is one of the biggest issues right now.
Right.
Understanding the whole concept of if an AI can work on itself and self-improve and build itself, that is like a really dangerous topic. Because the main problem comes when we don't know if the AI is able to, what the AI is able to do, how far it's going to go, and if it is aligned with our best interests. We are basically creating a new species of something, right?
Right,
This is-
yeah.
It's not conscious. I don't know if you can call it conscious.
It's not humanly conscious.
It's not humanly conscious, but it's definitely simulates consciousness to a degree that we've never seen before. To a very dangerous.
That's the
degree.
whole point of AI. It
That
just
is the whole
simulates
point,
us.
Yeah.
Simulates a talking pattern, typing,
And it's
reading.
like we've
listening.
made it so much more computationally like superior to us.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm trying to say like, I agree that if it can eradicate diseases and stuff like that, I really don't know how to picture a world like that. First of all, I have two questions. One, does that utopia exist? Two, even if it does exist, what would life really look like?
I think we have more problems. So this is how I'm looking at it. Okay, whatever things you solve, you'll have more problems. This is like the same thing with coding. The more features you code, the more problems you have, and the more features you have to code on top of that. Like the minute thing. In the beginning, you just have like 2-3 to-do list of things to code. The more things you do and the more problems you solve, I think the more problems come about. So, like for example, if you solve diseases and people are like completely fine and they live for a long time, then there's more problems. There's different kinds of problems, you know.
Population crisis. Now what? You know, like
Yeah.
yeah.
So now you have to solve that, and then when you solve that, this is like
Because then, if let's say diseases aren't an issue, people's life expectancy increases, then there's going to be more number of people who, you know, like typically we are naturally replacing whoever is on earth right now, right? There is a cycle. You're born and you die,
Yeah.
and the next generation keeps coming. Now, there will be no next generation, technically speaking, unless, or there will be the next generation, but there's no space for accommodating everyone.
like
It could go anywhere.
an analogy would be like
But yeah, I get the.
when the industrial revolution and when cars and all came about, those are great innovations and they solved quite a lot of problems, no? But then global warming.
Carbon monoxide.
Yeah, and then so many more issues. Like many people working in factories are actually getting harmed. Many cars came out, more accidents. So people are trying to solve the accident issues, and then autonomous driving is coming to probably help with that. And the autonomous driving will actually cause some other sets of issues, and then people will go to like solving that issues. After that solved, there'll be some other issues.
So
Like,
no
the
matter
world is
what-
just full of problems, bro. Whatever you solve, it's more problems. That's how I think the world is like.
So that then, you know, going back to the whole point of what kind of utopia are we chasing? Like what kind of idealistic world?
If you
are we
mean
chasing?
utopia as in the perfect world
Yeah,
where there is like no problems,
yeah.
I don't think that's possible. Because there's problems all the time. There's like always
There is
issues.
never a point where you work towards that world, and then let's say you reach there, and after a point the problems just start dropping, or it's just constantly going to be like it's like linear, like no matter what, it's
Yeah, problems we don't
one will be-
anticipate come. Like always. Whatever you solve something, that particular problem goes away. But a new sets of problems rise. And then when you solve those problems, and then a new set of problems rise. Then you solve that and a new set of problems rise. So
Then I
always
think-
like that.
Then I think it's like a question of what kind of problems do you want to deal with, like
Sometimes you don't have much of an option, bro. Like for example, with the industrial revolution and all, the global warming came about. Now people would be like, I don't want the global warming problem. But that doesn't mean we don't do the industrial revolution. We don't have cars. Because that's very important. So this is also, I think, the same mindset people have when they're running companies. Because companies always have problems to solve. They hired somebody, that guy was really bad. or something went wrong in the company, or the product was bad. Like, it's always problems. You
It's
solve a
give and
problem,
take, yeah.
something else goes. You solve a problem, something else goes wrong. You solve, like, when you run a company or something, it's always solving. There's never a point where the company is sailing completely smooth. There is no problems. That's never the case. There's always. I think it's a cycle of life.
It's inherently how things are.
Yeah. Whatever you have, this problem. Whatever.
That's actually a really interesting take. You're right. Especially even with this AI revolution, whether you like it or not, it is coming for you. It is most likely coming for your job as well.
You just have to be adaptive.
You have to be adaptive.
And this takes the most toll. I think we are really lucky because we are this young that we can choose.
Because we haven't like set a path yet. There are people
It's
who
a
already
luck thing
10,
for us.
20, 30
It's a
year old
blessing,
careers. Yeah.
People are already fixated on a career. They have studied years, spent years
Money,
of
resources.
career years doing this. For them to actually make a choice right now would be really expensive, monetarily and mentally. It would be like really hard. For us, it's a bit more easy. So
How do you think those people would have to deal with such a difficult situation? Like, do you think like they have no option but to pivot? And like this is one like a very interesting point of a question of debate actually. In the future, if AI is taking away, let's say, a really large majority of the jobs gradually, right? Are we meant to tap into, like, is everyone meant to become a so-called entrepreneur, come up with their own ideas, come up with their own like work themselves to find meaning, to find purpose, and to somehow fit into the economy?
the way I am looking at the AI jobs thing, personally, I think it will take a long time for AI to like replace at least most of the jobs. I think in the coming years, only the obvious jobs will go.
Okay.
Like the obvious jobs. Like,
What makes you think that it's a long time though?
the development of tech itself won't take a long time, but the adoption would take.
Okay.
Not only that, some jobs are naturally just human done.
Even about the adoption, right? I feel like a lot of people don't have a choice. If, for example, I'm going to take a very highly technically skilled job, okay? Let's talk about like a really complicated job, like a doctor, right? Like some kind of
Yeah,
really high paid doctor, right?
Yeah.
If their job was replaced by an AI
Yeah, but I think it'll take a long time for that.
to adopt.
Yeah, compared to a junior coder or a junior engineer or a.
I mean, very critically speaking, do you think it can happen in 10 years? The next 10 years?
I don't know. It depends from job to job, and I'm not that like knowledgeable on how things work. But I think, like, the way I'm looking at it is every job is different, right?
Mm.
Like, a person who codes is not the same as a surgeon,
Mm-hmm.
or a person who codes is not the same as a barber. Like, it's very different. So for AI to like reach that level of intelligence and capability, it will take some time, and for that capability to be adopted by the world, it would take some time. So
I think that you're right in that sense. There may be a few safe assumptions we can make. The more complex your job, maybe the more time it will take to develop something as sophisticated as a professional human in that field. Now,
yeah.
right now, obviously the rate of iteration and all that will come into play. But like, let's just say on average, right, the complexity of the kind of job you're doing, and I think another big one is regulations actually. I think regulations is probably what's going to either speed up things or slow things down when
Yeah,
it
for
comes
sure,
to
yeah.
this whole AI cycle and it taking over our jobs. I think they have a lot of power actually in whether AIs should be able to take over a job or not. This is like a huge, what do you say, point of discussion. They have to talk these things out now because otherwise, if we are going to live in a society where it's like a more capitalist, I think if the most innovative idea wins, the guy who brings the most value wins, and what that translates to essentially is the guy who owns the AI that can do your thing really well, really quickly
Would
for a
be.
really low cost, that guy is gonna win. There's
It's
absolutely
an
no doubt.
insanely opportunistic time right now.
Yeah.
It's insanely opportunistic. I think this is. I also heard the YC guy saying, if you're like in the forefront of doing stuff in the AI thing, then whatever you do, you'll somehow stumble into a really, 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 really great idea that works.
Mm.
Because the analogy he was saying is right now, it's like in the early stages of the internet. Like at that time, there was like this floor full of jewels. Right now, it's like the early ages of AI. So like if you just step into that room and like just start walking, you might step into a jewel, and then you just
The
start
probability of like getting something is like
yeah,
pretty high.
but if you're like in some other room and you're not doing anything or something, then there's no. But if you at least step into the room and just start trying stuff out, then the chances of you actually getting a really solid working idea is actually high because there are so much opportunity. Like there are so many things that could be like changed. There's so many problems it could be solved that even one thing is just enough for you to actually make tons of money. Like generational wealth. It's
That's
about-
what. Mm.
So it's a really, really opportunistic world. But at the same time, because the world is going to change a lot, there's so many things that might go wrong with people. They could either be the people who take the opportunity or not take it. I was thinking about what you said. The more complex the job is, the harder it would be for AI to do it. But I
Not
think,
harder for the AI to do it, more like the more harder it will be for the developers to come up with an AI that can basically reach a professional human's level. So
okay.
let's say it will be much easier for me to create an AI that does data entry as opposed to create an AI that literally is like a combined with search, like a takes over a surgeon's job.
Okay.
Having the surgical precision, creating a robot and the hand and the ability to like sense tools and like understand that intricacies and
Right.
like that's what I meant by complexity.
Makes
Like,
sense,
It's,
okay.
it's much more complex depending on the nature of the job itself. It's much more complex and takes more time to create a more to replace a more complex job as opposed to a more simpler job. So
Makes sense.
I mean, yeah, like I'm just adding on to what you said as well, which is the most obvious jobs are going to be replaced first, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah,
The most obvious jobs that can be like done with the current
exactly,
state of the art
exactly.
would be the thing that get replaced with the
I was
first.
trying to like think about what are the constraints that will again speed up or slow down that process of AI actually taking over your job. And I think yeah, one is probably regulation, two is probably job complexity. And, yeah.
In India,
Mhm.
the government itself has placed a strong regulation. I was reading about this. Has placed a strong regulation on drone deliveries because of drone deliveries. If that actually becomes a thing, many people would actually lose their jobs. So the government itself is like, we're not going to be part of this innovation because that's actually going to like impact a lot of our population.
Yeah.
Because India has a lot of delivery drivers and a lot of people in the
Oh,
logistics.
so they didn't like
They have actively put a really
a halt
hard
on it.
constraint on. It's very hard to actually have an autonomous delivery drone
But like
system.
it's not because they don't want it, it's because they just want
It's
the
going to
people
impact their
to.
population really bad.
Whoa.
Because imagine if drone delivery is actually a really powerful thing, and it's not happening because of a lack of innovation.
Resources or innovation or
Everywhere on Earth, the constraint for this is actually regulation. Like in some countries, it's not a fear of the jobs that the population would lose, but it's more so the airspace stuff.
security.
Yeah,
and-
they're like autonomous drones is not a good thing here. So in a country where you can actually operate autonomous drones is very less. Like they have like banned most of their airspace for
yeah, yeah.
using. So that's like if
That
that
makes
was not a
sense.
thing, it would actually be what do you say?
It is like a national security issue, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, you don't want drones just blowing up.
But in India, what I read was this is active hindrance for autonomous drone delivery because a lot of people lose their jobs. So the same thing could happen with AI also
Yeah, as
in
well.
certain aspects.
I think yeah. I mean, especially the healthcare side. I'm thinking like it's going to be heavily regulated because you're dealing with humans. You know, who you gonna
Yeah.
blame?
But the thing with the healthcare space is some innovations there would actually like take some job out of like humans, but that actually would be a good thing for the patient.
Mm.
Like they could be like I don't know, I could be like really really wrong,
Are you saying like reduces bias, reduces like all
No, no,
those
no. Like,
malpractices and stuff? Or
no, maybe certain things, if it was done by computers, would be better than if it's done by humans.
are you talking about
Precision.
anesthesiology and all those kind of things? Where
I don't know the specifics, but I think people in the healthcare space are facing some problem with humans doing some stuff, which actually, if machines do it, would be some kind of a weird thing for humans to actually feel at in the start. They'd be like, how can a machine actually do this? Like, for example, certain kinds of surgeries, if machines actually do it, it's more precise, but you're trusting the machine. But it might be a better bet to trust on the machine than humans doing it, because you have a high likelihood of success if the machine does it than if a human does it. Things like that.
Yeah.
You know.
High likelihood of success of survival and stuff. Yeah, 100%.
So
Yeah, because of that extra precision and stuff. Yeah, right.
yeah. So, but it's very very interesting. There's like there are like probably hundreds of different kind of industries in the world. Like if you just take agriculture, there's like tens of different industries in agriculture.
Within it, like
Yeah.
sub-industry.
And then if you just take vegetable agriculture, which is normal vegetable, then there's like what vegetables, like that's like a different branch. There's different kinds of, so like in healthcare itself, there's different. If you say doctors, there's so many different kinds of doctors. If you there's so many different jobs, so many different industries. And
Something interesting I just realized is one particular thing that I think AI will be really good at replacing is highly mathematical / computational tasks.
yeah, that's
And I think the finance industry is very heavily, like set on that. I'm just thinking, what is stopping people from completely replacing all their admin tasks, all their basic accounting tasks, and like just completely replacing it with an AI function, right?
I
Something
think
like-
there's probably some more like polishing to do. Like if you want a completely solid accountant, then there's a few things like it should be able to like get the
like
bills.
judgment, professional judgment, and like you said,
Small
Right.
things. Like if you want the entire job to be automated,
from end to end. Yeah.
right now it can like accounting already is like pretty much automated
Yeah.
from the software side of things. Yeah. Some more like small things, if it can automate, then it's just a matter of time people adopt it, bro.
Mhm.
But
But probably one of the most like, easily replaceable industries, right? Because again, completely mathematical, very highly computational, and
time consuming, boring.
time consuming. Yeah.
Yeah, so but
And-
that's the thing. Companies would be more productive. Accountants would be less in the company, and companies
You're
could save
reducing
money.
fraud by like.
So it's a good thing. You can't be like, I don't want AI to be part of accounting and automate a bunch of things. But the problem is people would lose, tons of people would lose their jobs.
I think-
Accounting is actually huge job consuming space. Like so many people are employed in the accounting sector. Yeah.
I think this concept of agentic AI will actually really change the way we look at things as well.
Yeah.
Especially in this industry too, which is once the agents are just set with a few rules, I think just enough guardrails such that they have the flexibility to do things on their own autonomously, but at the same time not go like do something they're not completely like programmed to do.
Agentic AI is like probably going after jobs that are very digitally, like any desk job that deals with computer.
Agents are the first thing.
Agents are the first things. If it's like a hardcore, like doctors, engineers, people who like set up curtains, people who set up furnitures, agents are not going to be like a big thing at all for them. But if you're somebody who works on a computer, sits and works on a computer, the chances that an agent would be able to do it properly in a few years would be like really high.
Yeah.
So like accountants are one of them. People in the finance space are one of them. People in legal spaces, document spaces. I don't know. But it's very exciting and very scary.
Let's see what happens. Give it a few years. Let's look back at this podcast and see, how much things have changed.
We could be wrong, we could be right, but
Could be wrong, could be right. Yeah.
are you really excited or are you more so scared?
I am extremely excited for what's to come. The opportunities are great. I think a lot of amazing things are going to come out of this. I am also very scared for what direction society is going to take. I'm scared about. I'm not very optimistic about humans. I'm very optimistic about AI. I'm optimistic about the developments AI is going to bring to us, but I am not optimistic about how humans are going to deal with it, how they are going to.
You'd rather trust the AI than a human.
Humans are extremely complex and inherently selfish.
I agree, yeah.
Yeah, and there's a lot of like politics involved, and there is a lot of there's an innumerable number of factors that are involved in how we. It's like you gave this toy to this new society. What is this society going to do with this toy? I have no idea. I'm just not so optimistic about that. But I am very very excited about all the good that AI will bring for us in the future.
There'll definitely be bad things done with AI. But
Yeah, 100%. I
like,
just hope.
if you just look at what the things people do with the internet obviously is like an insanely good thing that people have
Yeah,
decentralized. Everybody uses
exactly.
it. Some people use it for scams. Some people use it to fool people.
That's there with everything.
Yeah, exactly. So with AI, there's going to be so many bad things that go about.
The car came, the horse was much safer, like you said. You're not going to ram into another horse and fall into an accident, right? Like, very unlikely that happens.
Very.
But the car, you get into a high speed accident, you're going to bad things.
He'll probably die. Yeah.
Exactly. So, there are those trade offs. There will be positives, there will be negatives, but like, it is what it is at the end of the day. And like we said, whether you like it or not, it's coming for you. Whether you like it or not, it's going to happen.
You can't be like, I hope it stops.
Yeah,
That's the wrong thing to do.
Yeah.
So,
Good talk.
Good talk.